Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to the BNS channel. My name is EdieAnne. I want to talk to you about Hostess coaching. And I guess it's going to be primarily geared towards virtual parties, like Facebook parties, that sort of thing, live parties, Facebook live parties or Periscope parties. Because for the most part, a lot of what you do for Hostess coaching should be fairly parallel to the Hostess coaching that you would do for a home party. However, there are some other aspects to it that aren't necessarily going to be utilized in a home party Hostess coaching. So basically, what you will do is start off making sure that the hostess is understanding what is expected from her, right? Because if she doesn't know what's expected from her, then she's not going to be a helper for you during this party. And a lot of times, if you don't do Hostess coaching, that's where, it's indicated by the amount of sales that you get. A lot of times you don't get a lot of sales if you don't do Hostess coaching. So it's extremely important to do Hostess coaching so that they know what to expect or what they are expected of, okay, what you expect from them. So the very first thing is I will create the event myself. And the reason that I take that out of their hands is because in some cases, and you know what, I'm not there to really decide whether they are Facebook experts or not. And I'm not there to teach them how to use Facebook either. So sometimes there's hostesses that don't know how to create an event. They get confused with the whole process. So you know what, I just will go ahead and create the event for them. And the only thing that they really need to do is invite people. That way I can put the right information in the information part of it, make sure that the dates are correct, the time is correct, and all of that sort of thing. So I have a little bit more control if I create the event, and they have to just do the inviting. So in regards to inviting, that's probably one of the most important things that I try to stress up front with our hostesses is that they really need to limit their their guests to about 50 people. If they do less, that's fine. If they do a few more, that's fine. But I wouldn't go, much past 50. One, because it's quite a big crowd to have to party with. Imagine having 50 people at a home party. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of questions and interaction, which is great. But you also don't want it to be so interacting that you don't have time to answer questions and they feel slighted and left out and ignored, right? So part of this is for you, but part of it's also for the customers, because ultimately, if you're inviting your whole friends list, those friends aren't going to feel very special. And really, how many invites do we get for events all the time? So it's really important that your hostess understands that a personal invite to each and every person is vital. And if they're going to be personally inviting more than 50 people, that's a lot of work, right? So you want to make sure that they are personally inviting. And when I say personally, I mean individually sending a message, individually calling them, sending a postcard. Part of our hostess coaching for home parties is that we send postcards, or they usually do it face-to-face, or maybe they do a phone call or an email or a text. Inviting through a virtual party is no different. That really needs to maintain itself through any level of or any type of party atmosphere that we create. And in the virtual world, it's the same thing. We really need our guests, it's actually a little bit more important that our guests feel as though we want them to be there specifically, because we get so many invites for events that it just kind of goes over our head and we don't feel really special. So it's up to the hostess to reach out individually, and that's probably the most work that they're going to have to do, is the invitations and inviting. But it is extremely important, and the hostess needs to understand that how we invite the guests can actually have a large amount of effect on how the party goes. Okay? So that's probably the very first thing that you would want a hostess coach on. The other thing in a virtual world is that we need to post something on our virtual platforms, on our social platforms, right? So it's important that maybe you create a post for her and let her copy and paste it. But ultimately, it's much better to have it in the hostess's words. It's much better to make sure that my windows are fogging up, sorry. It's important for the words to sound like the hostess. I mean, if the hostess doesn't say wahoo, then the post shouldn't say wahoo, right? So it's important that she understand what you're looking for in that post. And the post really needs to be, hey, I'm having a party. A lot of times you're going to have a lot better response when you don't do it too far out. When you do a post too far out, people start to forget about it. They might remember the party, they might get put into the party, but then all of a sudden they're going to forget and it's not as important or in their face. So typically, I might have them make a post when we create the event, but ultimately either the night before or the morning of, I'll have them make a post to say, hey, don't forget about my party that we're having tonight. If you want to be part of it, just let me know. It's going to be a lot of fun. When you do things last minute like that, it's a much better response because there's less time for them to forget about it and more time for them to react. So meaning that at that point they're going to say, oh, the party's tonight, add me to the party. And now I won't forget because it's tonight. So then that post becomes fairly crucial as well, because the more excitement and the more involvement that your hostess has, again, you're going to have a better result and a better party. Okay? So then the next thing that I want to make sure that the hostess knows that I expect from her is that during the party itself, I really expect her to interact. I really expect her to like, comment, post, tag. Like, comment, post, and tag. And the liking is liking posts that I create and making sure that they see that she's in the party, right? It would be no different than her having a home party and her sitting in the kitchen and us having the party in the living room if she wasn't liking posts, right? By liking posts, it shows that she's there. Commenting, maybe asking questions about some of the products, right? Maybe creating her own posts about certain products that she loves in Scentsy. Maybe, post about her favorite product. The other thing is tagging, and I say tag responsibly because I don't want you tagging everybody on your friends list, or I don't want them tagging everybody on their friends list, or everybody that was invited, just to get their attention in the party, because ultimately that can become overdone. What I mean is, for instance, if I post the Country Light Warmer and she sees that warmer and says, oh my Lanta, Jennifer, my friend, has a nautical theme in her camp that this light would look absolutely amazing in. Yeah, tag your friend Jennifer in that post and say, Jennifer, this would look amazing in your camp, right? So the hostess is going to know her friends more than I as the consultant will. So it's really important that she connect the guests with the products. And so it's important for you to express that to the hostess, so that she knows that's what you're looking from her to do during the party. And then that interaction kind of creates a little bit of a buzz, and more people are talking and interacting and playing along and asking questions and that sort of thing. So that's kind of the bulk of the hostess coaching. The only other thing that I really stress for the hostess to do is to communicate. So at the beginning of the party, if there are people that have not RSVP'd, I make sure that she's private messaging them to remind them about the party and ask them to join in. If it's at the end of the party, then I would kind of do the same. I would just say, hey, the party's over. If they haven't placed an order, then the hostess could message them and say something like, we're going to be getting ready to close my party, and I just wanted to know if you were still going to be placing an order toward my party. So the beginning messages from the hostess and the end messages from the hostess can be very crucial, because they don't want to get a message from the consultant saying, hey, are you going to place an order? It doesn't sound good, right? At least with the hostess doing that, they know that she's trying to earn rewards so that she can get some free and half price product. So they're going to kind of expect her to follow up with them. But it's crucial that she do that, okay? So you cannot expect your hostess to do any of these things. You can't expect them to do any of them. And so what I'm going to tell you is that you need to make sure that you are coaching them to do these things. They're not going to do them automatically. And even after you coach them, sometimes they don't do it because there is an effort that needs to be made on their part. And if they don't feel like making the effort, then they're not going to get anything from their party. And so you've heard me say numerous times that not all parties are going to be good parties. Not all parties are going to be $400, $500, $600 parties, right? Some parties are going to be duds. Like some home parties are duds. Some basket parties are duds. However, I don't know that I've ever had a basket party that was a dud. Yes, I have. I have. So, hostess coaching is crucial. Make it a point to have that as part of your repertoire when you are creating Facebook parties. The Facebook party itself can be very easy. Can be very, very easy, and I'll explain my process in another video. But this hostess coaching is something that is pretty crucial to your virtual parties because it's going to either make or break your party. What the hostess does makes or breaks the party. I want you to imagine that you go to somebody's house and you are going to be conducting a party. And the hostess comes in and she lets everybody know that we're going to be having a party, and then all of a sudden she leaves the house and goes shopping and leaves everybody there to fend for themselves. I can almost guarantee that 90% of those people that are sitting there are going to get up and leave. They're going to follow suit and they're going to walk out the door. If the hostess invited them and she does not participate, why should she or why should they? Right? So that's why it's really important for you to hostess coach, and you need to express to the hostess, hey, look, this is important because this is what's going to dictate how your party does and how well you do in regards to your rewards. Okay? So go out and hostess coach, have some great virtual parties or home parties or whatever parties you're having, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.